Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning into Red Sky. Of course, you may be watching on his YouTube channel. You may also be listening on Audioboom or via iTunes. Either way, I think you're probably better off, to be fair, listening via audio. I've got a very red face, and my guests are not as aesthetically pleasing either. We've got Callum Cooper. Callum, you all right?
I am good, mate. Yeah, I'm good. I'm not sure about that comment, but no, I'm good, mate. Thanks for asking.
To be fair, you are probably best looking on show, but considering other two, it's not.
Don't take much.
Not an accolade that you need to be proud of. No. And stepping in, I mean, we've just abused him twice. I don't even know why he's bothered coming on. Stepping in for Anthony Kay, who is running late, coming off the bench, Wayne, really. Something you're used to.
Well, as I said to you before, probably my best position, that on the bench, you know.
Thanks for joining us, Wayne, at such short notice. We do appreciate it, and we appreciate your input. So, Callum, you were there yesterday. Initial thoughts then, where we are?
Yeah, quite an entertaining game, I thought, actually. Certainly towards the end of the game. It was a really, really important one, wasn't it? And I think the main thing was that we didn't lose in that game in particular. You know, following the back of that loss against Sheffield Wednesday before the international break, playing a playoff rival as well in Reading, it'd have been a real big blow if a sort of a rival team were to gain 3 points on us. So, you know, on a positive note, we obviously didn't lose and they didn't gain any ground on us. We're still in the playoffs. But it were a tight game, really. One that I expected, to be honest. Quite a tight game. You'd probably say Barnsley, I think, just edged it. But at the same time, you can say we were very lucky with some of the chances that Reading missed. But yeah, one in particular. But no, overall, I think we can be fairly happy, and it's fairly positive to say that, you know, we got a point in the end, and nothing's changed too much in the league table, has it?
Of course. Wayne, you weren't there yesterday. You were at home, comfortable on your sofa. Probably not comfortable, Wayne, was it? It weren't comfortable all at times, was it?
Well, I've got to be honest. It kind of followed, and Callum will probably back me up on this. It kind of followed the pattern that I think most of our games follow. In that, not much in it in the first half. I think the manager's quite happy for it to go that way, and for it to be tight. He's not that concerned because he knows that in the second half he can impact the game with his substitutions and changes. And again, you know, he makes those changes. And I felt through the game that you can always lose a game, obviously, but I thought we were quite comfortable in the way we were playing. Again, no change there, none whatsoever. And I just saw a team, you know, the opposition that it's interesting, you know, you sort of see the meltdown on social media with obviously something's gone off in the dugout and comments being made and stuff like that. And I think it's really interesting that teams come and just don't play their own game. Just don't play their own game. You know, just don't have the courage of their own convictions to go and do that. And the flip side for us is that wherever we go, we just play our own game. He's not bothered. It's just like, well, if you can deal with us, fine. And you know, if you beat us on that basis, then great. But the amount of teams that I see that just haven't got the courage of convictions to say, well, we'll play our style and we'll try and take you on, and revert to, as they say, you know, we kick it and knock long balls and stuff like that. Happy days for us. So I never thought we were particularly in danger, apart from obviously, you know, the chance in the first half, I think, where it takes a bobble when the kid's through and he should hit the target. I think Mads made a bit of a rip there. And then obviously the glaring miss that, you know, it's ridiculous that. I mean, it's such a bad miss. But, you know, sometimes you need that bit of luck. And I agree with Callum. It was important for us not to tag, you know, back-to-back defeats on there, especially after the break. And again, you know, you go into Monday, and it would be great to get a win on Monday. And then if you come out of that with 3 points, you go, well, 4 points over 2 games, you'd take that. So I agree with Callum totally. It was important we didn't lose that game yesterday, no matter what.
Yeah, we talked about that, Callum, didn't we? In the build up to the game, I think 2 or 3 of us said 1-1 would be a good result. Yeah, it's turned out that's where it is. No ground gained, no ground loss. And again, Callum, that's not an issue. If we were to beat Luton on Monday, I guess it's that next result, isn't it? And what that comes like. Looking at the game then as a whole, very new Barnsley way. We concede first, and yet it didn't bother us. We don't change his game plan. We don't drop his heads. We don't lose confidence in what we're doing, Callum. As a Barnsley fan, it's very easy to even though we've seen that pattern, it's very easy a Barnsley fan to think, oh, we're not going to get back into this. Did you doubt that at all, Callum?
I don't think you can doubt this team at all, can you, really? You're right. That scenario is something that we've not been used to at all this season, going down in games. But, you're looking at the manager and the players on the pitch, and you can't doubt them whatsoever. It was a massive, massive test, yesterday's game, against a really good side that made it difficult as well. They dropped quite deep, got plenty of bodies in their own box, and they made it really tough for us. So to come back to get that point and find that equaliser in the end, it were a really tough task, and they managed to complete it. But you're right, I can imagine there were plenty of Barnsley fans that thought, oh no, it's 2 losses on bounce, thinking that the world's over and that we're never going to get back into it. But you can't write this team off at all, can you? And no, in the end, it turned out to be, I think we could look back at that game come the end of the season, and that'd be a fantastic point. Yeah.
Wayne, you mentioned a few important moments within that game, including the dugout spats, the big miss. Let's just talk about that penalty for Barnsley. If that's given against Barnsley, I think there's a riot on Twitter, if I'm honest. Was it soft in your eyes? Is that the modern game? Is that where we're going? If that was given against you, Wayne?
Well, no, I think you're right. I think when you say the modern game, I think you're right. Absolutely. I've been talking to someone today about challenges, if you like, that would never have been allowed, or would never be allowed now that were allowed. And the fact is, when you look at it, he's put his arm around his neck, and yeah, okay, I'm sure Callum probably could stay on his feet a little bit more, but why should he? Because that's just, as you say, it's the modern game. So there's contact in the box. It's enough for it to be a penalty, and I think it's a definite penalty in the modern day. 30 years ago, it's probably not. And there's a lot of things that happen in the game that wouldn't, we wouldn't even bat an eyelid at, now. But it's a penalty. So if you put your hands as a defender, and if I'm playing now, if I put my hands on somebody in the box, and a penalty's given against me, I kind of expect that's going to happen nowadays.
Yeah, the penalty itself, Wayne. As an ex-professional, there's no such thing as a bad penalty, is there, that goes in the net? That's not a thing, is it?
As long as it ends up in the net. I mean, after I left Barnsley, I actually took penalties when I was at Rochdale, and it's as long as it ends up in the goal, that's all that matters. But it wasn't a great penalty, but I'm sure Alex Mort's not really concerned about that now.
No, I've seen good penalties saved.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? I've seen good penalties hit inside at post and come back out again. So yeah. Not for me. A goal's a goal, and what a vital goal it was as well. Callum, sorry, go on, Wayne. Go on,
I think it was. I think the point with the penalty is that if that doesn't go in, it probably impacts them more than it does us. Because like Callum says, I don't think no matter what, this team has got a way of playing and a confidence about them now, and they just carried on doing what they're doing. But I think it might have made a difference to Reading for the way that they might have thought, well, we can see this game out now. So yeah, it was an important one on the day. It really was.
Speaking of big moments then, Carl, numerous big moments, including that penalty, including the bobble when he's through on goal, and including the ridiculous miss by Lucas João. Do you kind of get the feeling that the gods are shining us a little bit? When you're playing well and you're in good form, these things seem to go against you. It juxtaposed to last season, when we're absolutely grafting, we're playing well, but we're not getting the results, and things ricochet wrong or don't quite go in, and things go. It's the opposite to that, isn't it, this season?
Yeah, massively opposite. And I think yesterday in particular, the gods of football were looking down, weren't they? Certainly in our favour. It was just ridiculous. And there's been quite a few of those, hasn't there? Especially on that run that we went on prior to the loss. You look at Alex Mort's red card being overturned. In other seasons, something like that would have never happened, would it? And then obviously the game yesterday, both chances. The Mété one in the first half, for me, is almost a given goal, I thought, when he's running for on goal. I think he's their second top goal scorer. I thought he was just going to open up and find the far corner. He's put it into the top of the Ponty end. And then that Lucas João one, it almost seemed written in the stars for an ex-Sheffield Wednesday striker to get them the winner. And he's put it wide. He's another one that's been firing on all cylinders this season. I think he scored 21 goals for Reading, far and above their top goal scorer. And you'd almost bet your house on him finding the back of the net there, and he put it wide. I couldn't believe it. I'm sat on commentary with my jaw against the floor because I just couldn't believe Barnsley's luck. And it would have been a real shame to concede in that way. I think the goal that we conceded as well was relatively poor and really avoidable. So that would have been a real shame to concede 2 goals in a manner that could have been avoided so easily. But no, thankfully, for whatever reason, Barnsley finally got lucky.
Yeah. Big 6 points it were, Wayne. And games like that, emotions get the better of people. Passion over spills. Obviously, it spilled into the dugout. Have you been part of a game that you can recall where that's had an impact on the game, where things have kind of spilled onto the pitch, or the aggression sort of snowballed out of control off the pitch onto the field? Is the one that sticks out in your mind?
I wouldn't say when you're playing it, you kind of notice those things on the touchline and stuff like that's going. I mean, I remember years ago when I was there, we went to Chelsea and Bobby Collins threw a bucket of cold water over one of their fans behind the dugout, and that was a bit scary. Because they were giving us stick and their dugout was giving us stick. But no, I think the thing is, it's interesting again. I think it's just the opposition. Birmingham, Karanka walked off, didn't he? If you remember, Callum, Karanka just walked off, didn't shake. Yeah. No matter what goes on the side of the pitch, you shake hands with the opposition dugout because you say things and stuff gets said and whatever, but you shake hands. And I think Ismail would have shook hands yesterday, but he walked off. Their manager walked straight off. So when their staff come over, and clearly something's being said. I mean, he's saying there's been stuff about the team and the way we're playing, and I think it's great. I think the fact that we're absolutely winding teams up and the opposition are like getting so frothy about it, happy days. Because how many times over the last 2 or 3 years I've been to watching games and you think we're a bit soft, we're a bit of an easy touch. We're not now, and other teams just don't like it. And again, we've said it in commentary, haven't we, Callum? Reading, Derby, Stoke, people like that, massive budgets, expected to be up there, and look who's sat in 5th, us. It's winding teams up because they've not expected it, and they're thinking, oh well, Barnsley should just be happy to be mid-table or slightly below mid-table.
Wayne, you've been involved in football at numerous different levels and numerous roles as well. I guess my question to you, in terms of what you've just mentioned there, you've got a good footballing team. Can you win games on a consistent basis or be a successful team without having that other edge about you, Wayne? Having that little bite, that little bark. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have just that little bit of, I don't want to say dirtiness, but just a little bit of roughness to your game, a little bit of physicality.
It's not even that, Chris. It's a little bit of understanding and a bit of experience. And a lot of these players didn't have that last year. Those little, if you like, the little dark secrets that you need to know to get yourself through a game sometimes, and little ways of kind of getting the one up on your opposition. You learn that over the years. It's just something that comes with you. You don't know that when you're younger. And I think we paid the price a little bit for that last year in a few of the games where, like you said before, played really well, but things went against us. That's not just entirely things going against you. That's just the opposition sort of knowing the way around the field, and knowing what to do in certain circumstances. And I think we've learned that a lot this year. And you're right. Sometimes you've got to bend the rules a little bit, if you like, to seek the advantage, and there's nothing wrong with that because every team does it. Every team does it. So if we don't do it, we're going to fall behind. So, and I think it's really interesting at the moment. The more I watch games, because I watch it from the opposition point of view and I look at the tactical side of it, and I think you're just falling into a massive trap here by getting involved on the pitch and complaining to the referee and not playing your game and adapting and trying to play the way that we play. Just play your game. It's really interesting to watch sometimes.
Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a broken record, isn't it? All you hear is direct. You hear complaints about the pitch, the complaints about the style.
But that's the classic one from everybody. If we were playing like, as people want to call it, playing out from the back and playing through the thirds and flowing football and scoring goals, what it doesn't matter how you win the game or how you get the results. It really does not matter. You play to your strengths no matter what you've got, and the manager looks at it at the moment. He thinks the strength is to play this way. You've got to say he's right because we're getting the results. And for me, if I'm an opposition coming to Barnsley, I would be thinking, well, I want to take you on in the way that we play, not trying to adapt to you, because I should be backing the way that I play, and I think that's the big difference. I think Ismail backs the way he plays and the way his team plays, no matter what the opposition are, and not to kind of adapt to try and we'll try and play the way that you play. We'll play our style, and I'm just intrigued the amount of managers that come and just don't back themselves, because that's what it is. They don't back the way the team plays.
No, and I guess that's come from board downwards, hasn't it? We've backed this style, and I know it's developed since the Stendhal days, but in terms of how we sign players, we've stuck with that. In terms of recruitment, in terms of retention, we've stuck with this long-term plan. And I think Ishmael's bought into this, hasn't he? And he's just progressed us so quickly. He's quite remarkable to see, really. But yeah, you're very right, Callum. Last question to you then. Will we bounce back? I said bounce back. It were a draw. Obviously, we've not quite bounced back from Sheffield Wednesday defeat yet. Will we be back winning ways against Luton?
I'd like to think so. And, we've already said so many times, you've got to go into every game with confidence with how we've played this season. I think the important thing was that we didn't lose back-to-back games against Reading, and we've done that. We've stopped them from gaining 3 points against us. So the important thing now is Monday night, now that we've done that, and it's another tough game. Luton, almost for myself, there's almost a little bit of a rivalry between Barnsley and Luton, the way I see it, just because we've played each other quite often in recent years, and often being at similar positions in the league, whether it be pushing for promotion in League One or saving ourselves from relegation in the Championship, and we find it quite tough against them. And I think in the past that's been down to the fact that we couldn't really play against those bigger physical sides, and Luton have often got the better of us. But I think it might be just a little bit different this time. I believe it was the first game of the season, wasn't it, when we played them this season, and they beat us 1-0. That was under Gerhard Struber, which seems an absolute age away, doesn't it? A completely different team to what we are now. So it's going to be an interesting game. And as I say, we've sorted out that our style of play against those sides. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really interesting game, a difficult one, but I'm more than confident we'll be able to come away and get back to winning ways.
Wayne, thoughts on that Luton game coming up? Apple Alme looked impressive, quite physical coming off the bench. Do you see a start for him in such a physical, vital game?
Possibly. I think the interesting thing now from our point of view, and again, we spoke about this over the last few months as it's gone on, is we're at the point now where the dynamics kind of changed, and we're sat in the player position. So, the thought process and the pressure is different. We probably need another 10, 11 points possibly to guarantee a playoff place. So it's going to be interesting to see how the players handle that. Also, how opposition handle that. Now, Luton have got nothing to play for. They've done well. They've improved from last year, and they're sort of safe in the division. So they can probably play quite relaxed tomorrow. Different kind of dynamic for them as well. But I think that we're in a frame of mind in general over the last sort of few months that the manager knows that he can get the team ready to play. He'll make his changes. I'm sure again tomorrow he'll freshen it up. They'll have a game plan to sort of implement, and I don't see why going away from home should hold any fears for us tomorrow to go to Luton. And again, listen, you don't want to lose the game, but I fully expect us to go and win that game on Monday. I really do.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back to that next time. Wayne, thank you very much for joining us. We do appreciate it.
No problem.
Top man, lovely to see you as always. Callum, I will see you Tuesday. And I will show you how to play football. All right.
Can't imagine that's going to happen.
I can't believe I don't get an invite to this football, by the way.
You can
come down. We need to get you down. Of course we do.
Yeah, you're always invited, Wayne. Always. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching.
Take it easy, guys.
Listening. See you later, Wayne. Thank you. See you later, Cal. Bye-bye.
See you, Wayne.